It was supposed to be the proudest day of my life. The auditorium was filled with cheers, the sound of tassels swinging, cameras flashing as graduates crossed the stage. I sat in the front row, my daughter Emily waving at me in her cap and gown, her smile bright enough to light the whole hall. And then, out of nowhere, my husband Derek leaned in close. His voice was a blade against my ear. "After this ceremony, Melody, I'm leaving you." The words knocked the air out of me. In the middle of our daughter's graduation, with families celebrating around us, he decided to shatter mine. But he didn't expect what I said next. Because my reply didn't just silence him, it made him roar in rage loud enough for the entire auditorium to hear. The words didn't make sense at first. I remember blinking at Derek, my ears ringing louder than the applause filling the auditorium. Leaving me. On this day. I thought I had misheard. But then he leaned back in his seat, his jaw clenched, eyes forward as if he hadn't just detonated a bomb in my chest. My throat closed. I looked down at my hands, gripping the program so tightly the paper tore. Around me, parents clapped and cheered for their kids. Cameras flashed. Emily's name was called. I should have been on my feet, clapping the loudest. Instead, my knees refused to move. My husband, my partner of 21 years, had chosen this moment to tell me he was done. I forced myself to stand when Emily walked across the stage. She glanced at me, her smile wide, searching for mine. I lifted my hands, clapped until my palms burned, but my smile didn't reach my eyes. When she sat down, I sank back into my chair, my pulse hammering. "Why here?" I whispered, barely daring to look at Derek. He finally turned his head, his mouth curling in something between a smirk and a sneer. "Because it's the last time we'll all be together as a family." His words sliced through me. Cold. Calculated. I stared at the man I thought I knew, the man who held my hand in hospital rooms, who built IKEA furniture with me at midnight, who kissed my forehead every morning before work. That man was gone. Or maybe he never existed. Maybe Derek had been building this moment for months, years. I swallowed hard, fighting the tears threatening to spill. Not here. Not in front of Emily. This was her day, not mine. But inside I was crumbling. The ceremony ended in a blur. Balloons bounced against the ceiling. Proud families rushed forward for hugs and photos. Emily ran to us, her eyes shining. "Did you see me?" I didn't trip. I thought I would, but she laughed breathlessly, hugging Derek first, then turning to me. I wrapped her in my arms, burying my face in her shoulder, inhaling the faint scent of hairspray and roses from the corsage pinned to her gown. I wanted to freeze this moment, bottle it, anything to shield her from the storm about to hit. But Derek. He was already pulling away, checking his watch, his phone buzzing in his pocket. Emily frowned. "Dad, where are you going? Don't we have lunch reservations?" That's when Derek dropped the second bomb. "Actually, Emily, I won't be joining. Your mom and I need to talk." Emily's smile faltered. She looked at me, confusion clouding her joy. My heart broke. This wasn't just betrayal, it was sabotage. Derek wasn't leaving me quietly. He was hijacking Emily's milestone, poisoning it with his selfishness. I grabbed her hand. "No," I said firmly. "We're still celebrating. You worked too hard for this day." Derek's voice sharpened. "Melody." "Not now," I hissed, my eyes blazing. "Not here. You will not ruin this moment for her." For the first time, Derek's mask cracked. His jaw tightened, his eyes narrowed, but he didn't fight me. Not yet. Emily blinked between us, sensing the tension but too polite to push. She forced a smile. "Okay then. Let's go to lunch." And so we did. At the restaurant, I sat across from Derek, every bite of food turning to ash in my mouth. Emily chatted happily about her future plans, her dreams, her excitement for college. I nodded, smiled, asked questions, while Derek sat stiff and silent. When Emily went to the restroom, Derek leaned in, his voice low and venomous. "You can pretend for her, Melody. But after today it's over." I'm done being your husband. My chest tightened. I wanted to scream, to demand why, to beg him to reconsider. But something inside me, something deeper than heartbreak, kept me still. I met his eyes. Then I hope you're ready for what I say next. His brow furrowed, confusion flickering for a split second. Because even in my pain, I knew one thing. If Derek wanted to leave me on the very day our daughter reached her greatest achievement, I wasn't going to go quietly. I was going to burn his narrative down. Derek's words clung to me like smoke. After today, it's over. At first, I thought it was just cruelty. His way of cutting deep on a day that should have been filled with joy. But as I watched him across the restaurant table, silent and tense while Emily chatted about scholarships, a strange thought began to gnaw at me. This wasn't sudden. He'd planned it. When Emily excused herself to the restroom, I leaned forward, every nerve in my body sharp. You couldn't wait one more day. You had to drop this at her graduation. Derek's eyes flicked up, cold and steady. I told you. It's the last time we'd be together as a family. Might as well make it count. The phrasing made me freeze. The last time. Who talks like that? It didn't sound like a man who was leaving for love or freedom or even anger. Sounded like a man reading from a script. I narrowed my eyes. Why today, Derek? Why like this? He leaned back, his smirk returning. Because it's when you least expected it. Something inside me twisted. His cruelty wasn't just about ending things, it was about spectacle. Humiliation. And then it hit me. The weeks before graduation, he'd been acting strangely. Long work meetings that went late into the night, whispers with his phone turned away, quick changes of subject when I walked into the room. His brothers had been around more too, men I never trusted. And his mother. Oh, his mother had been calling almost daily, her tone clipped, urgent, always when I wasn't around. It hadn't registered at the time. Thought it was stress. Now I realized it had been strategy. This wasn't just about leaving me. It was about dismantling me. Emily returned, her eyes sparkling as she scrolled through photos on her phone. Mom, you look so proud in this one. Look, Dad. Derek gave a stiff smile. His hand brushed his phone under the table, and for a split second I saw the screen light up. A name flashed across it, blocked before I could read it. His jaw clenched, and he shoved the phone into his pocket. My stomach sank. Who was he hiding? We finished the meal in brittle silence. Emily didn't notice. She was still buzzing with the joy of the day. When the waiter brought dessert, I reached into my purse to pay, but Derek's hand shot out. I'll cover it, he said quickly. That was odd. Derek never insisted on paying, not like that. He slid his card to the waiter with an urgency that made my skin prickle. And when the receipt came back, I noticed something small but sharp. He signed with a different flourish than usual. His initials written differently. It was subtle. But after 21 years, I knew my husband's handwriting like my own. Something was off. When we stepped outside, Emily hugged Derek tightly. Dad, thank you for everything. I love you. He stiffened, then forced a smile, patting her back. Proud of you, kiddo. I watched his jaw clench as she walked ahead to the car. And in that split second, his phone buzzed again. This time I caught the name. Naomi. My chest froze. Naomi wasn't a colleague. She wasn't a friend. She was the woman he'd sworn years ago was just a family acquaintance. The one I once suspected, and he laughed off. The air seemed to vanish around me. He wasn't just leaving me. He was leaving me for her. I slid into the car beside Emily, plastering on a smile so she wouldn't see the storm in my chest. Derek drove us home, his fingers drumming on the steering wheel. When we pulled into the driveway, Emily bounded upstairs, humming happily. She had no idea her world was about to fracture. I turned to Derek, my voice steady but trembling inside. Naomi. That's who you're running to, isn't it? His eyes darted to me, then away. And that was all the confirmation I needed. My marriage wasn't ending because of me. It was ending because of a lie that had been building for years. I went to bed that night with my heart in pieces. But somewhere deep inside, beneath the grief, something stronger stirred. Because if Derek thought he could break me in silence, he had miscalculated. I wasn't going to crawl into the shadows. I was going to drag the truth into the light. The morning after graduation, the house was quiet. Too quiet. Emily had left early to meet her friends, still glowing from her big day. I should have been proud, basking in her success. But all I could feel was the icy weight of Derek's words still pressing on me. After today, it's over. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, questions clawing through my mind. How long had he been planning this? How deep did it go? And Naomi, her name burned like acid. I couldn't sit still anymore. I slipped into Derek's office, the one he guarded like a fortress. His desk was spotless, almost too neat. But I knew Derek. Order wasn't his style. Control was. Which meant anything worth hiding would be tucked away. I pulled open drawers, flipped through folders, sifted through bills. For a while it was all normal. Tax forms, car payments, utility statements. Then, in the bottom drawer, behind a stack of old magazines, I found a manila envelope. The moment I slid it open, my stomach dropped. Bank statements. Not just one, dozens. Accounts I'd never seen before. Transfers to Naomi's name. Thousands at a time. Some as recent as last week. And there was more. Property deeds. A condo downtown, signed under Derek's name but co-signed by Naomi. My heart hammered as I flipped through page after page, realization crashing over me. He hadn't just been sneaking around. He had been building a life with her. A life funded by my savings, my sacrifices, our family's money. My fingers trembled as I pulled out one more document. A transfer authorization form. Derek's signature scrawled across the bottom. Only this one wasn't subtle. It wasn't just his money moving. It was our joint account. The account I'd built over years of working late, saving penny by penny. The transfer date was scheduled for next week. He was planning to drain it. My breath came in shallow gasps. Betrayal is one thing. But financial betrayal. That was theft. I grabbed my phone, snapping photo after photo of every page. My hands shaking but determined. Proof. If Derek thought he could erase me quietly, he was about to learn I wasn't so easy to erase. The door creaked behind me. Froze. Melody. His voice was low, dangerous. I turned, clutching the envelope to my chest. Derek stood in the doorway. His face pale but his eyes blazing. What are you doing in here? My voice cracked but I forced the words out. How long, Derek? How long have you been stealing from me? From Emily. He stepped closer, his jaw tight. You don't understand. Then make me understand, I snapped. Make me understand why Naomi's name is on these accounts. Why you've been draining our savings. Why you were going to leave me with nothing. His mask slipped then. For the first time I saw not arrogance but panic. You were never supposed to find out. That single sentence chilled me more than anything else. Never supposed to find out. He lunged for the envelope but I pulled back. Don't, I warned, my voice sharper than I'd ever heard it. I've already got pictures. You can't bury this. His face contorted. He slammed his fist against the desk, the sound echoing through the room. Damn it, Melody. Do you have any idea what you've done? I stared at him, disbelief curdling into fury. What you've done, Derek. You didn't just betray me, you betrayed Emily. You chose her graduation to humiliate me because you wanted the perfect excuse to walk away clean. His voice dropped, venomous. There's no clean way out of this. Not anymore. The silence that followed was thick, suffocating. For a moment I thought he might actually strike me. But then he turned, storming out, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. I collapsed into the desk chair, my body trembling. But as I stared down at the photos on my phone, a strange calm settled over me. Yes, he had lied. Yes, he had cheated. Yes, he had stolen. But now I had proof. And proof was power. That evening, Emily found me at the kitchen table, my face pale, my eyes red. She set down her bag, concern etched on her features. Mom, what's going on? Dad's been acting weird since yesterday. My throat tightened. How could I tell her that the father she adored had been living a double life? That her graduation was the stage for his betrayal? I reached across the table, gripping her hand. Emily. There are things about your dad you don't know. Things I didn't know. Her brow furrowed. Like what? I opened my phone, the photos glowing under the kitchen light. Like this. Her eyes scanned the screen, widening with every swipe. Wait, is this real? He bought an apartment. With Naomi. Mom, tell me this isn't real. Tears welled in her eyes, mirroring my own. I'm so sorry, honey, I whispered. It's real. And he was going to leave us with nothing. Her lips pressed into a thin line. For a moment I thought she'd break. But then, to my shock, her eyes hardened. Then we fight back. Her voice was steady, strong. Stronger than I'd ever heard it. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't alone. The next morning, Emily and I walked side by side into the lawyer's office. My legs felt heavy, but Emily's grip on my hand was strong. Stronger than I felt inside. Her graduation smile was gone. Now her eyes were sharp, her jaw set. She wasn't just my daughter anymore, she was my ally. The lawyer, Ms. Carter, a woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing, listened quietly as I laid out the documents and the photos. She flipped through the papers one by one, her expression never changing, until she reached the account transfers. Then she looked up, her voice steady but edged with anger. Melody, this isn't just infidelity. This is financial fraud. He's been moving marital assets without your knowledge. That is illegal. Emily leaned forward. So what happens now? Ms. Carter set the papers down. We hit pause. I'll file an emergency injunction today to freeze the accounts. That way, Derek can't drain another cent until this is sorted. Relief surged through me. For the first time since Derek's whisper at the graduation, I felt like the ground wasn't shifting beneath me. But then Ms. Carter slid another file across the desk. There's more. I ran a quick background check before you arrived. Derek isn't just moving money. He's drowning in debt. My breath caught. Debt? She nodded grimly. Tens of thousands. Credit cards, loans, unpaid taxes. And from what I can see, he's been using your joint assets to cover his trail. Naomi didn't just help him build a life. She helped him build a cover. Emily's mouth fell open. So he was using Mom's money to keep her hidden. Ms. Carter's voice softened. Yes. And if he'd succeeded in draining your account next week, he would have walked away free while you and Emily shouldered the fallout. The room tilted for a moment. Betrayal was one thing. But this. Derek had planned to bury me under debt while he started fresh with Naomi. I swallowed hard, my voice shaking. What do we do? Miss Carter leaned back, her eyes steady. We fight smart. You've got evidence. Voicemails, financial documents, his signature on transfers. With this we can build a case. Not just for divorce, but for restitution. Emily squeezed my hand. Mom, he tried to ruin you. We can't let him win. I looked at her. My daughter, barely 18, already braver than me. Her strength lit something inside me. No, I said firmly. We won't. That evening, I sat at the kitchen table with Emily. The documents spread between us like a battlefield map. Derek was at Naomi's place. I knew because his car hadn't returned. The house was silent, but my heart was no longer trembling in the quiet. Felt steadier. Emily tapped the condo deed with Naomi's name scrawled beside Derek's. He thinks this makes them untouchable. But it just proves he's guilty. I smiled faintly, pride blooming through the exhaustion. You're right. And soon, everyone will know. Because Derek thought he had humiliated me at our daughter's graduation. He thought he had silenced me with his betrayal. But he didn't realize one thing. When you back a woman into a corner, sometimes she doesn't break. Sometimes she fights. The next afternoon, I heard the crunch of tires on the driveway. When I peeked through the curtain, my stomach twisted. Derek. And beside him, Naomi. She stepped out first, tall and polished in a sharp blazer, her heels clicking against the pavement like she owned the place. Derek followed, his hand brushing the small of her back, an intimacy he hadn't shown me in years. Rage surged through me, but I kept my face still as I opened the door. "Well," I said coldly, "the happy couple arrives." Naomi's smile was syrupy sweet. "Melody. We thought it was time we talked face to face. After all, transitions should be handled with grace." Transitions. As if my marriage was a corporate deal. Derek stepped forward, his voice clipped. "You went through my office." I didn't flinch. "You left the evidence in plain sight." His jaw tightened. "Those papers mean nothing. You can't prove anything." I lifted my phone, the screen glowing with photos of every forged transfer, every hidden deed. "You mean these? Already with my lawyer? Already with the court? The accounts are frozen, Derek." For the first time, Naomi's smile faltered. "What?" Derek snapped. "You heard me," I said, my voice steadier than I expected. "You won't be draining another cent. Ms. Carter filed the injunction yesterday." Naomi's eyes narrowed, her polished mask cracking. "You think freezing accounts will stop us? Derek and I. Derek and you." Cut in, my voice sharp. "At least you finally said it out loud." Naomi's cheeks flushed, but Derek raised his voice, trying to regain control. "This is ridiculous. You're blowing this out of proportion. We'll take Emily, we'll take the house, and you'll walk away with whatever's left. That's fair." I laughed, sharp, bitter. "Fair? You were going to leave me bankrupt while you played house with her. You were going to bury me in debt. That's not fair. That's criminal." Naomi took a step forward, her perfume sharp in the air. "You won't drag us through court, Melody. Think about Emily. Think about how embarrassing this will be for her." Her words were a knife, aimed right where they knew I was softest. For a flicker of a second, my chest ached with fear. But then Emily's voice echoed in my mind. "Mom, we fight back." I straightened my spine. Emily already knows. She's seen the documents. She knows who her father really is. That silenced them both. Derek's face twisted, fury flashing across his features. "You told her. She deserved the truth," I snapped. "More than you ever gave her." For a moment, his roar filled the house, a sound so loud and raw it made the windows tremble. Naomi's hand gripped his arm, steadying him, but I saw it, the crack. The fear. He wasn't in control anymore. I leaned in, my voice low, steady. "The judge has everything. By next week you'll be answering for fraud, for theft, for every cent you tried to steal. And Naomi, your name is all over those deeds. Don't think you'll walk away untouched." Naomi's face went pale. She opened her mouth, then closed it, her nails digging into Derek's sleeve. I stepped back, my hand on the door. "Now get out of my house. Both of you. The next time we see each other, it will be in court." For the first time, Derek didn't argue. He didn't sneer. He just stared at me, his chest heaving, his fury barely contained. And then, with one last glare, he turned, dragging Naomi out with him. The SUV roared down the driveway, tires squealing, but the sound didn't rattle me this time. Because this time I wasn't the one being left behind. This time I had the power. Court day arrived faster than I expected. The walls of the courtroom felt heavy, every seat filled with whispers and eyes waiting for drama. Emily sat behind me, her hand on my shoulder, her quiet strength keeping me upright. Derek entered with Naomi at his side, both dressed in their best. Him in a navy suit, her in a sleek dress, like they were walking a red carpet instead of standing trial for fraud. The judge began reviewing the evidence. The forged signatures, the bank transfers, the condo deed. Derek shifted uncomfortably with each piece shown, Naomi's mask cracking every time her name was read aloud. But then the judge's voice grew sharp. "Mr. Johnson, you not only concealed assets, You failed to disclose a dependent listed under your insurance. My brows furrowed. Dependent. The judge held up a file. A child registered under your name, co-signed by Naomi. My breath left me in a rush. The room blurred, my ears rang. Child. He hadn't just been cheating. He'd built another family behind mine. Gasps rippled across the courtroom. Emily's hand squeezed mine so tightly it hurt. My daughter. His daughter. Forced to hear her father had been raising another in the shadows. I turned slowly, meeting Derek's eyes. For the first time he didn't roar or sneer. He looked away. And in that silence, everything I thought I knew about him collapsed for good. This wasn't just betrayal. It was abandonment dressed as deceit. But instead of breaking, I sat straighter. Because his lies weren't my shame anymore. They were his downfall. The judge's gavel slammed, echoing like thunder. This court finds Mr. Johnson guilty of fraudulent concealment and asset misappropriation. The protective order is granted. Mrs. Johnson will retain the family home, majority custody of shared assets, and full guardianship of Emily. The words washed over me like light after a storm. Naomi's face twisted in disbelief. Derek's roar filled the room, his anger spilling like wildfire. But it didn't touch me anymore. For once, his voice couldn't drown me out. I walked out of that courthouse with Emily's hand in mine. The sun felt warmer, brighter, like the world had been scrubbed clean. My steps were lighter, not because the pain was gone, but because I was no longer carrying his lies. In the weeks that followed, Derek faded into shadows. Court dates, debts, whispers. Naomi too. They became footnotes in the story of my survival. Emily and I rebuilt together. We painted the kitchen walls, laughed over burnt dinners, cried when the silence grew heavy. But we healed. One night, as we sat watching her college acceptance emails roll in, Emily whispered, "Mom, you didn't just protect me. You showed me how strong a woman can be." Tears filled my eyes, but they weren't from grief. They were from pride. Because Derek thought his announcement at graduation would break me. But in the end it set me free. If you've ever been blindsided by betrayal, remember this. Pain can be a weapon, but truth is always power. I'm Melody and this is my story. If you've lived something similar, share it in the comments. I want to hear your strength too. Don't forget to like and subscribe because stories like these remind us. No betrayal can silence the truth.